my happy face on.
All right, and
Yeah,
We're
it's
live.
on.
We're
It's
live.
on. Yeah, there we go.
Ben, what is this? This has got to be. I think we just talked about it a second, but I really don't know. Is it like week 8? Is it week like 10? Are we like above 10?
Uh, Time flies. I don't know.
Yeah,
You tell me.
nice. I don't know.
You
Well,
tell me.
guys, if this isn't your first episode, welcome back. If it is, this is I'm Aaron. This is Ben, and we are the hosts of Watch Us Build here at DIMO. If you don't know what DIMO is, Ben is always cracking up. That's if you don't know what DIMO is, or don't know what this channel is, or this episode
How have
is,
you? Nobody's found this if they don't know what DIMO is.
that's
Hot
true.
take.
That is true.
we're not watching you build.
Yeah.
We're building with DIMO.
Can
That's
we
true.
hear? Can
That is
people hear Shaolin or no?
You can now. Yes, I'm leaving my
Oh.
microphone on this time because last
Oh.
time if I turn it off, then I can't come back in and tell you guys anything.
Okay.
That's true.
I will be the floating head where nobody can see because my video is not being captured on YouTube or Twitter right now, but
Yeah,
they could
okay.
hear the ghostly wail of the Funk Man coming through.
I love it.
Shaolin is the narrator of this story, if you guys don't know. But yeah,
Oh my
this
God.
is Aaron and Ben together doing another episode of Watch Us Build or Build with Us. And yeah, this is part of DIMO.
I think we're build with DIMO officially now.
Hey, if we're in the mood of pitching, can we talk about the new website? That is.
You could talk about whatever you want to, my man.
Well, I know
We
it's a
can talk
soft
about whatever we
launch,
want.
but it is sweet. So even if you do know what DIMO is and you haven't checked out the new website, you should definitely check that out. It is awesome. The guys who are working on it are great. You can tell that they're good because Ben hasn't complained about them. So that's like the gold standard. Other than
That's
that,
the
yeah,
gold standard. Yeah.
go ahead, and if you want to get more active, we've got a Discord. You'll find the link on our website. And of course, if you haven't signed up already, go ahead and do that. Go ahead and grab the mobile app, get onboarded, and then go ahead and connect your vehicle, one vehicle, 5 vehicles, whatever. Get started. Anything to add there, Ben?
No.
No, we're good.
I have
If
something
you're
to
a
say
designer, apply. That's my
Yeah.
last thing. If you're a designer, we're still hiring. If you watch the backlog of these every week, it's me saying, if you're a designer, apply. So if you're a designer, apply. The window is closing. So
True.
if you want to work here,
All right,
We
Ben,
need to
let's
flash up. We need to flash up a QR code of the mobile app for people to download at the beginning of the stream. You just like, download it here. Boom, boom,
oh my
scan.
God, don't test me today, Shaolin. Don't test me today.
All right, getting into it, Ben. What do we have in store for today? I know you got some cool stuff for us.
Yeah, so last week we did some work on rewards, and we are still doing that. Things have been a little slower on my end than I really wanted to have them be. I've just been juggling a bunch of stuff, and we've been really trying to do our homework on making sure the screen that we're putting in front of people is done right. And, one of those, in sort of doing that, we've, taken there've been days where we've really not worked on it very much just to sort of step away from it. I am personally tired of looking at these screens, but it's my job, so I'm gonna do it anyway. Really today we want to get it to, I'll walk through sort of how we arrived at what our latest version of this stuff is and how we arrived at, what we think is a pretty strong potential solution. And I need to chat with you about implementation specifics and, just sort of figure out, like, is this the right path for us going forward? So, you want to do it?
Now, yeah, I think so. Go ahead and share your screen. And I know we kind of touched on this last week, so it's going to be interesting to see how much. This is what we talked about last week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been at this for a minute.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see the progress that we've made over the last week and like really what it takes to get something over the line. Because I know that we're like right there line, and
No,
for
you
those of
say
you who weren't,
that. See, you say that, but then we
uh,
sort of had like we got tackled for a loss for a little bit, so now we're probably at like the 5 yard line now. You know,
we had a penalty.
now
Okay,
yeah, we had a false start. Let's do that, and
there you go.
and so now we're here. Yeah, now we're here. All right. Again, same thing as last week. No representation of anything. This is not a guarantee of any main net anything. This is just me doing pictures, me doing designs. So nobody do, say whatever you want.
No one put in, basically.
Nobody come for me. Yeah. Don't ask me about any of your test points or whatever. That's not, I'm not your guy. So last week we had done some work on this rewards screen. We were here, we were looking at our this sort of basic concept where we've got a little countdown timer in the top right, we've got our lifetime earnings, our graph. We had our earnings history living here, which didn't really work, and then a little carousel here, as well as some of our other stuff. What we ended up doing is there are times where you get a little too deep down the rabbit hole in a certain idea or certain concept, and I hesitate to say lose sight of what a screen is supposed to do, but sometimes it can get jumbled trying to make something that looks really good. You can sort of lose a sense of what your real information hierarchy needs to be at times, or you can, you may have de-emphasized something earlier on in your process and said, I'll come back to it, or thought, I don't really need to come back. But there are times where when you do this, you kind of realize, okay, I think we're missing a little bit of something. I think we're missing an important call out that got pushed below the fold that needs to be above the fold, or at least visible, So we did, as you guys can see, when we do reviews, you can see all these, here's 25, here's 4, 4, 6, 5, right? 10 more comments, 12 more comments. We try to get in and really hammer out like what works, what doesn't work. And this stuff needs to be done like, this is a point in the process where I really benefit from having another set of eyes on it. And that's why, one of the reasons that you and I are going to go over this today is it's not always easy to just it's not always easy to do this stuff in a vacuum. And our team is growing, but it's not, a lot of times it is just me sitting in a Figma file by myself. So
absolutely,
we are, getting that extra stuff on stuff helps. So the basic layout is changing a bit, but it's not massively changing. But we're just going through some of the comments that were left here. And a lot of those comments were around things like, mainly around, how do I know when a vehicle is qualified at a glance? How do I know when a vehicle, more importantly, is not qualified for rewards in a week? And in my concept earlier on, which I think should still be up here, in my concept earlier on, this guy here, this card that tells me one of my vehicles isn't qualified this week, that's what was, I had it as the first card here in most of the explorations, but we thought this doesn't really tell you which vehicle. It doesn't really give you a path to sort of resolving that. And also, it's part of this carousel here that we don't really know what we want to do with it. It's more of like the component itself is pretty nice and the illustrations are nice, but we don't really know what we want to do with it. So we spent some time just talking through what could we do to better solve that. Yeah. And knowing that this vehicle card section here is pretty weak as is, it's not all that informative.
Yeah.
So Yeah, I will pause there before I like dive into anything else. Like, does that all make sense? Is that sort of you following along with like how
No,
we
I
are
get that,
getting
but I
to where we're
want to,
getting? Yeah.
if we're really going to talk about like, build with us and whatnot, and I think there's a lot of people who are watching this right now who either have, you know, an interest in design or like how we make a product or really like what it means to get nitty gritty. I know that like
Mhm.
in the early days of my development, I would always be in awe of developers and designers and just like what is that cue? What is that thing that you look for to know like it's
Mhm.
time to move on or time to take a step back or time to rework something? One of the things I want to call out about your design process, on the far left side of every iteration, you call it a different version. So, like if we look at that bar on the far left right there, what V are we on?
6.
Yeah, and the versions that actually start after a whole bunch of initial designs. Like you don't really typically start with V0. You kind of do a whole exploratory thing, and then when you think you've got like you're like in that 80% ballpark area. That's when you start V0, right? So,
Mhm.
what is it that's like the indication for you that it's time to go from V4 to V5 and V5 to V6? Is it just like here's all my
Some
comments?
let me yeah, sometimes it's a bit arbitrary.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like, a lot of these the progression, if you looked at them, you could kind of be like, this is the line where it becomes V2 to V3, it's like a little blurry.
Yep.
But a lot of it sort of can depend on like, am I trying a like completely new variation of this layout? Am I doing a layout, is version like uh, the layout with all new components but same architecture, right? So like same graph, or like say,
Hmm.
the thing could go graph, vehicles, referrals, partners or whatever,
Yeah.
but it's using all different components to just test the layout. Does the layout work there? Um, Sometimes it's something different. Sometimes it's what's our priority with this. So V1, V2 may be, here our priority is the reward graph. V3 may be,
Yeah.
okay, here's the same styled rewards graph, but let's flip it upside down.
Yeah.
So it really does depend. Yeah.
And then, so on the flip side of that, like I imagine that working in design is kind of like being an author, and authors
Oh,
obviously have writer's block
Jesus.
all the time. No, I think it's a fair comparison. And what do you do when you get blocked? What do you do when you get to a situation where you know you're not done, but you're just out of inspiration? I mean, do you get up and you jumping jacks? Do you take a walk in the park? What is Ben's
Uh,
mojo for when he's blocked?
Depends on the urgency of my impending deadline.
Okay,
Let's
let's start there. Let's
let's
say
put
it's
it that
due
way.
tomorrow. Ben, you're going to be
Uh,
working on a Saturday, and I want it done first thing in the morning before I finish
yeah.
my Saturday edition of the
Okay.
New York Post or New
Yeah.
York Times.
Option one, get over it. Uh,
Mhm.
no, option two.
Just
No, I
barrel
mean,
through.
yeah, just power through. No, I
Yeah.
think there are a couple of things that are helpful for me. Uh, I mean, obviously taking is good, to try to take a break and just go do something completely unrelated. And a lot
Yeah.
of times when I will do that, the sort of solution to something will begin to appear. It's always at a really inconvenient time.
Hmm.
That what where you're not near a computer, that your solution appears. But I'll do that. The other thing though is, if I do have an approaching deadline, is I really value input from other people who
Yeah.
maybe are designers, but maybe are also just people who have an opinion that I value, or that
I've
know.
got loads of opinions. Go on.
I bet, yeah. But people who know the problem we're trying to solve with a specific screen, or people who I can kind of give a quick
Yeah.
rundown to and say, hey, almost treat them not like a user, because they are like, like if I put something in front of you, you're a user, but you're not like a sort of somebody who's totally removed from building the thing. Like, you spend like me all day in this thing.
Yeah.
But I for some validation there that like we're doing the right thing, we're accomplishing what we need to accomplish.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, it's mostly that. But to go back to your earlier question, I mean, about how do we know when something is done or ready for a next version? I mean, something is never done. It sort of is at a point where
Yeah.
it's ready for handoff. and we feel like it solves the problem that we want to solve. There are different schools of thought on like when you can call something done. I know there are some people like to cast a really wide net. Some people like to cast a really narrow net. We have people that we work with who do a bit of both, and it's really productive to have people with differing approaches in the room. I like to cast a bit of a net. I also, though, am of a little bit of the school of thought of like, if I can defend a design and I can defend the decisions that I made, and nobody can point to, hey, this doesn't solve the problem we're trying to solve. That's the point at which I say, I think it's time to at least build the V1 of this, because if you can't look at something and say, I don't understand how it works, I need to accomplish this or message this, I need it to look like this. If you can check those sort of those basic boxes, like I am of the school of thought that it's better to get it out there, better to get it out there, get some feedback, and then iterate.
All right. Well, let's get into it. I'm ready to play. I'm going to be the devil's advocate here. I'm going to be your worst nightmare when it comes to a user. I'm not going to understand anything.
Please. Well, then we're going to have a really bad time because I tore everything down since we last talked to you.
You're like, joke's on you.
Yeah,
I was already planning to have a horrible user experience.
I tore everything down since I last talked to you. And
just not happy.
So a lot of your questions are not going to be answered. To be completely honest, we're focusing mainly on this first level of the reward screen. I'm not going to spend any time on this call with us getting into the like vehicle specific ones or rewards ones. We're really focused on the main view of this right here.
Let's jump into it. I am going to. Yeah, how can we help? How can we build with Ben? By the way, I know we have some people in the audience, so if you want to yell or throw things at Ben, feel free to do that.
Abby says my mic sucks, so.
Yeah, it does. I wasn't going to say anything, but Abby, thank you from behalf of all of us. No.
You were on with me earlier.
No, I think it's maybe it has to do with the recording, whatever. But I know you're away from your usual setup.
I can drop and go and grab a mic from.
No, because then I have to entertain. I think that's difficult, and we're gonna power through this.
I'll just come out from the woodwork to start telling stories about my youth.
You can do Ohio that. I can leave and go get the other mic if you guys want.
Shallon in the summer camp days,
If it's miserable to listen to me, let me know.
It's kind of like the DIMO summer camp counselor. Like he's got to be the one to shepherd all the lost souls out there, both internally and externally. So yeah, Ben, why don't you grab your mic and Shallon, go ahead and pepper us with some awesome.
Actually, Shallon, Abby says I'm more miserable than usual. So here, I will drop. I'll be right back. And
all right.
All right.
Shallon,
I hope this doesn't end this for everyone.
So Ben, this is what I want you to do. Just mute your microphone.
Mm-hmm.
And then just step out. Don't turn off your webcam.
I can't change devices while recording. That's what it tells me.
And I will let you know that if you decide to mute your microphone and your camera and then you leave, you will not be able to make it back in. So maybe we do have to just to eat on the crispy bits of your microphone today. Or
if I leave, I can't come back in. I'm the host.
Yeah, if you leave, you can't come back. Oh, well, who knows at that point?
Oof, this is a little bit of a danger zone. Should we take the risk, guys? Ben, what if you just grab your mic and plug it in? Just keep everything there and run and grab your mic.
I can't change the input. No, I can't change the input.
Oof. Okay.
All right. Looks like today we're just going to have crispy fried Ben.
Is it that bad?
It's getting a little worse, yeah. Actually,
let me see. I'm gonna toy around with your level limits, and I'll let you know. Oh, he's gone. He's gone.
Hey, I can still hear you. And he left. Well,
he was there. He was gone.
Well, we'll wait till Ben comes back. Oh, he's coming back.
I'm back. I'm here.
Oh wow! Look at that.
Is that better?
That's
it is better. There's a little bit of background noise, but I think we'll take it over the crispiness.
I can go grab the other mic. I just unplugged the AirPods.
Just go grab the other mic and see if we can plug it in. I think it'll work.
He was
All right.
Crunch City there for
Alan,
a moment.
you get to entertain us while he's gone. I know we just had an AMA. Do you want to fill
Yep.
in the people who are watching this on any of the big highlights that we missed? I think that's pretty darn exciting.
Yeah, actually, it was a pretty great turnout. I did have some internet connection issues, so I wasn't able to really,
You get to make up for
fully
it
be
now.
there.
Yeah.
Still this hosting, but
AMA
we
2.0.
went over our roadmap update, which is fantastic. We relaunched
What's your favorite part?
docs.demo.zone.
What's your favorite
About the
part of
whole
the roadmap update?
my favorite part about it is the fact that we're delivering devices again. That's what my favorite part is.
That is awesome.
And just to make it even more sweeter for everybody, I just sent out an email to 119 people who are going to get their devices next week. So if you're one of those lucky few, go ahead, and if you need to update your address, definitely send us an email as soon as you can, because we're going to be shipping out devices. We ship out devices twice a week now. So yeah, 119 people. That would bring us up to 500 total for this month. So that means we should be up to order about, I don't know, 1,500.
Wow.
Which is pretty
That's a
great.
lot of
I mean,
movement. That is a lot of product moving.
This month has been great.
So we're shipping out, what you said, twice a week. How many on average are we shipping out?
It depends on the batch size. It's usually about 50 per batch at the current moment.
Okay.
It's still kind of a slower, lower batch.
So there's room for growth.
How we doing here? How we doing?
Oh,
that is way better.
You sound great, dude.
I sound like a radio host now.
You're like Casey Kasem. You want to give us the weekly top 40?
Oh my god. Okay. All right. Let's. Do you want to get back into this?
Yeah, but just before you dive in, Shalyn, so we have your favorite part. We're shipping out devices, doing about 50 a week. No, 50 every batch, 2 batches a week. That is awesome. That's a huge feat for like the product guys.
Ramping up even more. And it's kind of crazy to turn around from, we just started talking with our 3PL. I mean, the cat's out of the bag now. We're using CalChip. I mean, people are going to get those emails anyway. So we met with CalChip at the very beginning of this month. We went in there. We didn't have any extra bits on us. We showed them all of our processes. We gave them all of our documentation. We trained them on how to go through and like process and provision like all of the kits. And then, since then it's like that we did like 18 in like the first week while we were there. And then since then we've just been slow ramp ups from 25 to 50 to now I think we're about to ship out 100 in this most recent batch. And, then we're going to be going up to probably about a couple thousand within a month. And then, even higher up from there. So I'm super excited about that.
That is awesome. No, we got a lot of cool stuff happening here. Again, like I know the AMA was a big deal. The roadmap is huge. A lot of people were waiting for the devices, and now it's like flying out the door. Super exciting stuff. Yeah, Shalyn, this is awesome. When's the next AMA? Just so we all know.
The AMA usually happens at the end of every month. It's the last Thursday of every month. So this month it was the 25th, and then it's whatever the last Thursday of October is.
All right, awesome.
To be determined on what the topic is, just because our focus was to get out our yesterday's AMA, but then we'll kind of go from there. Usually our topics are whatever the hot button is for that month, and we try to address it.
Yep.
Generally, we've been pretty solid on that, but we'll let you guys know in a further announcement.
Sounds awesome. All right, Ben, you ready to get our hands dirty again?
So ready. Let's do it.
Let's jump into Figma. Let's go ahead and do some like in-depth analysis, whatever you want to do. Let's get some work done.
Okay. Let's do it. So, like I was saying before my unceremonious exit here, we went through all of the screens that we had, everything that I had put together, and the purpose of doing this is you kind of want to challenge yourself. You kind of want to say what doesn't work. You want to challenge not for the sake of it, but for, just making sure that we actually get the product that we're looking for, get the result that we're looking for.
Yep.
So as we went through and we sort of challenged some of the decisions or, explorations that we had made, we arrived at a few things. The first is that this vehicle section that was down here does not work. It's not descriptive enough. It doesn't communicate qualification status well enough, and so something needs to be done there.
Huge,
We identified that the carousel here doesn't really serve much of a purpose. It, is a nice place for us to message to people, but it doesn't really deserve, the fold basically where where your, like what you can actually see on the screen, we call it the fold, ends about here at this red line. So everything that was above the fold is your most important information for the screen because it's something that a user doesn't have to scroll to access. So we sort of said, okay, this doesn't really make sense for it to live here because it's more sort of messaging to people versus action-oriented or really truly communicating anything about rewards. And this see earnings history, we stuck it here as just, oh, it would be really easy, but it's also eating up real estate and there's probably better ways to do it. The last thing is that this timer here doesn't really work. So we had a sort of this icon. This is to indicate when the next baseline points drop would be. Doesn't really come across there and it doesn't really work. So that's a lot of stuff to pull apart. And some of it is styling based, but a lot of it, like the cards is like some of it is styling, but some of it is also like we're lacking information and we need to better display it. So that was a review that we did earlier in the week, and we did another one yesterday. And we kind of arrived at those action items. And then what we do is I guess this is technically V6 over here. What we do is we start to then actually go and do more explorations and figure out, okay, what are other ways we can solve these problems? So here we are. A lot of times what I will do when we make a change is I'll either name the artboard something, or if I want to just make a call out to the people that we are, the person I'm showing it to. So whether that's you, whether that's Dora, who helps out on our design, or Daniel, who helps out on design sometimes as well, try to make good use of the notes so that people know, okay, here's what I should be looking for on this change. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
I do. Can I
jump in?
Can I kind of put some pressure on you because I got some thoughts?
I don't want to just ramble. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Let's hone in on that reward screen, specifically like the graph there.
Okay. Yeah, we got a lot.
Okay. So I have a design question for you, or maybe it's even like philosophical.
Sure.
And where my head is at right now is I know like in the world of like say like stock charts or like cryptocurrency charts or whatever, having a graph there is like really important because like, if I'm like in the mood to trade, I want to kind of make sure I'm not buying at the high or whatever. But here we have like a cumulative thing where like for the most part, like this should just be kind of trending upwards, almost linear most of the time, right? Like if I'm on our system, I'm earning rewards, like we're just gonna see this chart that's gonna go up like that. Like how relevant is the chart then if it's like I'm not doing like with a stock chart, I'm doing actionable information from it. From our chart, it's more just like more of a nice to have, if you will.
Kind of. You sort of want to be able to. The thing that I'm going for with this is to be able to scrub through time and see your history. So there could be actions, in the future that maybe you would take with points that, you could do something with them and they could leave, right? So it doesn't always necessarily need to go up. But it's also like, even if you buy a stock that only trends up, you kind of want to see when it goes up. And these are not, test points are not stocks. They're just points, right?
Yep.
So I want to look at my watch my chart go up. I want to be able to identify sort of where I am in different periods of time. I want to be able to scrub through that thing. And I also need something nice and visual to engage people with. So I could do this as just a number, which is what it is in the current app, where we just show points as a number.
Yep.
But, it's it's just a nice visual thing to sort of guide the user and to further reinforce what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, how like if I were to say, Ben, I hate the graph.
Yeah.
Like, what would that say to you? Would that say like, is there room for exploration there? Or are you like, no, no, no. I've done like the iterations. I've done the explorations. We're going with a graph. Like I feel
We
like
sort of did the homework on this one. That
okay. What's
this
that look
is a-
like?
This is a nice experience. It's way down on the thing. We're already past
No,
it.
no, no.
We're
Sorry,
already
sorry. I
past
don't mean like specifically what does it look like, but what does it look like to get to a point where you're like, I've done enough homework that I think that this is really what like I'm putting forward. Like I
Sure.
feel good about this. What does that
Yeah.
look like?
It's a combination of putting stuff in front of users,
Mhm.
of putting it in front of people who deeply know the problem that we're trying to solve. So people who will write, a PRD or a requirements document. That's what we base our work off of. It's based off of a competitor analysis, so we can see what other people are doing. And the thing about a competitor analysis is not just what are other people doing that works, what are other people doing that doesn't work. And so we can look at people who are in a similar space to us, or who are doing similar things to us and say, okay, these guys do it this way. I don't really like why they do it this way. Or these guys do it this way, and I can sort of work backwards from what their use case is and why they're making a decision, get to why they're making a decision. So it's a kind of a combination of those things. But what's important for this is that the output is, we thought, hey, a big graph, also a big sort of hero section, like I talked about last week, really does follow our sort of design language here, or our our
I get
theme
that.
throughout our product, right? Big hero section up at the top, important information goes below. So it's a pattern we're establishing.
No, I think it looks good. Listen, at the end of the day, it definitely looks good. Maybe I'm just kind of make you sweat a little bit, but
Not
it
making
is.
I'm sick of looking at these damn screens, so that's why I'm like, yes, I did the homework.
You're like, I'm not changing it now.
I'm
No,
not
I think that's
changing
fair.
it. This is it.
No, this is good. This is good looking stuff. I think that users will be able to come in here, quickly see. Now, outside of like seeing like your total rewards, I know we're like going into the vehicles. You'd mentioned that like we want to make sure that someone can really quickly see if like they're earning from a vehicle or not, which I think is huge. I think that's like so like we want to put out that fire before it gets big, essentially. And like how like if you're like scale of 1 to 10, how confident do you feel about the current setup? Like I want to get like I really want to like tease at your
I haven't even gotten through. I haven't even gotten through to the current setup yet.
I'm talking about like the current page. Oh, this is not the current. This is not the
No,
latest.
that's what I was saying.
You're showing us old material here, Ben.
I was trying to get to where we got to, and then you interrupted me.
All right. Fort Knox over here.
My
Let's do
man,
it.
look, we got way more to go through. I was gonna go one by one.
All right, let's do it.
No, okay. Basically, it's sort of. I mean, that is the big problem that we lost Shaolin a while back. It looks like.
We don't even anyway. We're doing good. We're flying solo.
That's a problem that was driving a lot of. Oh, he's back. Look at that.
Damn rude, guys. Jeez.
Serendipitous.
I just had the mic muted. Damn.
that was no, I'm staying in character. That was a question that drove a lot of the continued exploration here, and there's a couple of things that are at play here. I don't want to have somebody open this screen when they have never connected a vehicle. Maybe they've added a vehicle, but it's not connected. I don't want them to look at this screen and see like red alert, like not qualified, not connected, fail, wrong, bad, right?
Yep.
Like I know. What's important on this screen is to tell somebody when something has gone wrong with something that they think is going well. If you've connected a car, you are eligible for points. That's the way it is in the app right now. You can go download the app and go play around with that. If something goes wrong, if your connection disconnects and you don't realize it, you know, or if you haven't sort of sent any data in a given week, that's when we need to tell you, hey, you need to do this. You need to actually, like, there's a problem with something that you think is right. So what I'm trying to do is come up with, how do I, let people know when the next sort of baseline issuance is, so that they can, like, know when the next round of points comes out. And B, how can I make sure that if there's something that's wrong with a car, they know how to take action, or that they at least know right away without having to scroll around too much to know, okay, something's going on. So to get to that process, we started to do a little bit of reworking. I had a really cool idea that we're not going to do, but it's fine. It's just my lot in life. Oh God, come on. It's so great that it's broken Figma.
That's a hell of an accomplishment.
Yeah, let's try.
Do you get a trophy for that, or how does that actually manifest itself?
Let's try again.
Okay, round two.
So the two things we're trying to accomplish here, guys. Thing one, how do I put a timer in front of people that doesn't, like, make them freak out and make them go, oh my God, I have to do something. This thing is ticking down. Thing number two, God, this is going slow. Thing number two is, how do I make sure I know that the cars are qualified? So here's an exploration around the timer specifically. You can't see the timer, but if you were to pull down, you could open up a little window that would show you when the stop was, right? And you could slide it back up, and it would close the timer. Okay, maybe that's a cool little interaction. That's the thing I pinged you about earlier, where I was like, feasibility check.
Make my life difficult. I love it. One little like user trick at a time.
Playing with that, plus being able to scrub along the graph, I'm a little worried about. And also, I'm a little worried about discoverability on that. If that's not, you know, that's an action that people kind of instinctively take for like a refresh, which I imagine people will do here. So we do stuff like this where we say, okay, what are our advantages here? Cool, doesn't create fear, cool interaction, gives it space, so I can not just put, like, you know, you saw where it was just like a timer, but I can actually put, okay, hey, here's how this works, here's what you're looking at. You know, cool, but again, here's disadvantages. Kind of a risk to being discoverable. Doesn't really tell you enough about, you know, it just tells you days, but like what time? Sort of, you know, stuff like that.
So like the process here is to be a little bit of your own devil's advocate. Like you're debating high school debate style, like after, okay.
Pretty much.
Is it like a point system? Like if I've got more pros than cons, then I move forward, or like what do you do there?
Maybe some people are. I'm not that scientific. I'm
more
just like
go by the gut kind of guy.
Yeah, I mean, because I'm not like scoring the advantages versus the disadvantages. There could be one 10-point advantage and 3 1-point disadvantages, you know, so it looks like 3-1 disadvantage to advantage, but like a disadvantage might be like, might take Aaron an extra week, which, like, yeah, I get it, but the end product is like, you know what I mean? But
is that a disadvantage or an advantage? I'm sorry.
No, but you know what I'm saying, right? Like you have to factor it in. Like if you're on a timeline for a feature where you can say, hey, this is a little more of a technical challenge, like we can do it, but it's going to take longer. If we say, well, we got 2 weeks to do it, fine, you know, but if it's like, hey, this is something that needs to get moving like tomorrow, no, I can't stick a technical hurdle in front of people and be like, because it looks cool, guys. So, you know, which sure, you do that sometimes, but whatever. So,
all right, so that one lost. Let's go into the next.
That one lost. So we don't bury these. Maybe it comes back. But we'll see. The thing that we started to like was giving a little bit more description to the vehicle cards themselves. So when you actually look at the cards, you can see this is semi-styled, but you can see, okay, it's earning this week, and you can see a little bit more about it in a little more of a visual way. I'm trying to keep the sort of 3/4 or half car profile shot that you get from our little mission control selector so that it feels familiar. People are looking at the same image of their car. But the thing that I like here is starting to move towards, instead of using this carousel here, which is sort of so-so and like may have value, but people may just kind of gloss over it when they read it, sticking the timer itself down right below there. And again, the fold I put on this screen is this line here.
Yeah.
So in this, timer, is here, graph is here, timer's here. You can see 3 or 4 vehicles are qualified, but we're still sort of so-so. We're gonna move right along. Some of this stuff is lo-fi, like we're just slapping banners on here to be like, what if we did it that way? What if when I came to this screen, I saw a little thing that said you have unqualified vehicles, and I tapped it, and it took me down to that unqualified vehicle.
Okay.
Sticking it up here, sticking it over here. But basically, we ended up, I'll skip ahead, and we're still not done. This I thought this Daniel put together. We thought would be really fun for you to do.
Is that like a little tray thing that comes up?
No, this would be like if you tapped into this vehicle list here.
Oh man!
Then you could get like these little cards that would, it'd be really fun.
Darn,
there
we're not doing that.
There were two sort of main contenders for like the next direction that we go in. Option one is this guy here, which is where we've got the baseline drop sitting right here. We've got our vehicles with our unqualified vehicle always being up at the top if there's one. It's visually now like alert. This is a not qualified vehicle. We wouldn't do this for a car that was like that was not connected. We wouldn't like yell at you about it necessarily, but this is sort of the basic thing. Option 2 was keep the carousel. I'll pull it up in here, but make your vehicles be a carousel. So sticking it like this, where I come here and I cannot miss that a vehicle is unqualified. Maybe if I tap into the 2 or I tap on vehicles, then it takes me to like a vehicle list. But but we said maybe not.
Now, can I ask you about like your thoughts behind the whole not qualified thing? Because I know this is important.
Anything you want.
That's awesome. This is an AMA now. But specifically, like, I know we don't want to yell at the user if they're like, I know. But what if like we could separate the ones from they know versus the ones that didn't know they weren't qualified? So, for instance, we have people who have added vehicles, but they never made a connection. And I'm assuming that they know that it's not going to be eligible for rewards. They have never made a connection. But then we have people who have added vehicles and then the connection was dropped. Whether like, the authentication changed or like, we actually need them to do this extra step before they are totally opted in. Like, could we like visually separate those two conditions out so that way people aren't bombarded with like the vehicles that have never been connected, so they kind of know, versus like the vehicles that like, I thought that was actually connected.
Good catch. Yes, the answer is yes, and that's kind of exactly the stage that I'm at right now.
Yeah.
So where we arrived at is pretty much some variation that we're going to continue to build off of what we're looking at here. I'm going to do this. I'm going to wrap this up and let you run with some of your stuff, or we can bring on our 3D
special guest.
Yeah, we can bring on our 3D special guest after this. Actually,
I'll let you decide. I mean, I'm okay either way.
For you guys, our special guest here.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do it. I think for you guys who don't know, which I'm hoping most of you guys don't actually know this, I'm going to be out next week and even the week after that. And Ben, what do you have in store for people for next week? And I obviously our special guest is awesome. Are you thinking back to back with our special guest? Are we thinking maybe bringing on somebody from the Explorer team, since I know we've been doing a lot with that lately? What have you got in store for us?
No idea.
It's going to be a mystery.
We may do some special guest. I don't want to just do just me, but we may do some special guest.
Ben's kind of an attention hog.
I'm always here for you, Ben.
Shaolin's always here. Yeah, maybe Shaolin and I can go.
Our narrator's back.
Shaolin and I can go through support tickets together. Oh my God!
Sorry.
Look at it. Look who it
Oh,
is.
jeez. His buddy in there now.
we're not in potato quality anymore, so that's good.
This is a very professional setup now.
Oh,
Yes.
awesome.
Yes. Let me close out here, Aaron, just so you're prepped with what we're actually going to be.
Yeah, I gotta build this
explore.
stuff. So what's in store for me?
Yeah. So what we did, everybody who's been watching, what we ended up, or where we've ended up now, which actually looks better to me than it did an hour ago when I was just looking at this, because walking through the whole journey of how I arrived here makes it look a lot better to me. But we stuck our points history up here in the top right. It's where it is already. Sometimes the best decision in design is to do what you're already doing. Great. Good job, Ben. We're going to rework the timer.
Big old circle there.
Yeah, shut up. We're going to rework the timer here. It's going to live right here, so you always know what's going on. And
Cool.
I've done it in such a way that I've condensed the graph a little bit, and we'll condense the timer maybe a little bit too, so that you can start to see a little peek of vehicles and see which ones are qualified or not. Your unqualified one will always be up at the top. That'll be this guy. You can come to this screen and see you've got a warning. We're going to style the cards differently so that you can say, okay, this is a card that was never connected, so obviously it's not qualified, but I'm not going to yell at you about it.
Yep.
And I'm still working on how we actually style the cards themselves. But basically, we did a whole bunch of walking through stuff, and it's how we get to where we get to. And hopefully, sooner than later next week, I will be able to hand this over to our brilliant engineering team, who will knock it out of the park.
Let's do it.
All right. Special guest time.
That's you, Abby. I don't know if you got that.
That's you, Abby. Last time we had you, we only brought you in for a little bit, but now we have 15 plus minutes for you to shine.
15 plus minutes. Let's do it.
No. We are up to 45 minutes, sir. I made sure that way we could always go to 4 o'clock now because of last.
Oh, okay.
Last
yeah, because Abby powered through the time limit last time. So
This doesn't really my fault.
yeah, I'm gonna relinquish the screen share here. I'm gonna also grab a computer charger, and I'm all over the place today. But what have you got for us today, special guest?
Like you said, get some important goo. I was actually on Figma when you said that, and I was like, quick, close Figma, open Blender. No, I do use Figma. But
Do you want to talk about some Figma stuff? Go for it.
we can. That's your ballpark. I'm very underqualified.
Why don't you tell Aaron what you've been working on? I'm gonna go grab a charger.
This is actually a total surprise to me. Abby,
Ta-da!
let's see some magic.
Hi. Yes, I mean we'll start with Goo. Goo's way more exciting, realistically.
Goo?
Yeah,
Demo
why
Goo.
not Goo?
Let's do it.
Goo. Well, currently we are in AutoPie Goo land. Very much
Awesome.
at Ben's request. We actually have the this week, which is very new. But Ben wanted an AutoPie falling in some Goo. Fair enough. I can
Let's
only
do it.
respect the request. Yeah, it's very similar to the vibes. It's a little bit laggy when I do the playback for you because graphics card. But there it is. It falls in nicely, makes a little splash, but not too. Have iterations somewhere on the Figma. If I go and find it, it's quite funny, where it kind of looks like an explosion has occurred. There are many Goo iterations, like.
This is sort of like a soft landing, like, we dropped the AutoPie, not it's smashing at 100 miles an hour.
I kind of think it would be more exciting if I actually showed you the
we should Michael Bay it.
file.
We should just, there should be a massive explosion. And...
There is so much going on in the Goo Figma, and I thought
This opening this thing like bricks.
It breaks your computer. The
oh my god.
stuff in here.
So
I
you can as far as you can zoom out in a Figma file. That's how big.
Yeah.
That's how far out I have to.
That's how big the file.
The computer in there. Click on the computer one and tell me what's
that one up there.
Yeah,
40,264 pixels.
Wow.
So for
Oh.
my screens are 375 pixels across.
Yep.
slight issue streamlining that. But I wanted to show the journey of the goo. This was a really long time ago, but if we zoom in, the goo started here. These are Daniel's artistic renditions of what he said. Just screw it, we'll do it in Figma first. And I was like, okay. And this was the first ever goo. Now that has to show some kind of growth.
This
wow.
is it.
Yeah.
I mean, she leaves her own notes, so God help us looks like an ocean creature.
Yeah, really, the goo was, a better word, ugly for a long time. A little creepy was one of my pieces.
We got it. The goo and two.
Yeah, bake 4. The goo just ate the cube.
This stuff does the most random things without you really knowing what. Like in this one, the goo just collapsed, and I kind of thought about it. I was like, damn, the goo really did start in an ugly place. Yes, this was where the goo started to look slightly more attractive, not beautiful, like goo. This was, yeah. This was an early July, so this was a while ago. But from there on out, it did get a lot prettier. We have. This is. I don't think these are seen. These are Ben's old screens with goo. These aren't even current screens. Yeah, it's come a long way. But I thought this file would be fun because it's disgustingly massive, but also I was working from sketches as good as this, which was...
Hopefully, Figma isn't watching this. They're going to be like, we need to charge more. People are going to put up 40,000 with
it was
images.
ridiculous.
Dude, I asked her for the overhead shot of the AutoPie render to give to you, and she's like, here it is, and I click on it, and it's like 20,000 by like 10,000, and
I didn't realize Blender was having me over in these moments.
So I go to export it. She's like, is that too big? I'm like, so I like...
Yeah.
I like 0.5, I like half exported it and tried to upload it to you, and it was just like, and then I tried again. So there's like 4, and so the one that I finally got was like 1920 by 1080 or something, and I was like, that'll do.
That'll be fine.
You know what's bad when you have to send a single image with WeTransfer? It's
Look, Blender, I was very sure that I was at the very most exporting at 2K, and I don't know why it was exporting at 14,000, but we move. I've learned my lesson. I've just come across one of Daniel's amazing sketches. We could have uploaded that. That could have been it. But
we don't even need to,
that
Abby. We
got Daniel and his pen tool. But yeah, I think this is where Ben came in, and we went through, and you drew all over them. You're like, we need this one to be longer, and I like this one. I'll put a star circle meaning something else, and it was quite. Yes, we all sat in here and was like, yeah, okay, I like this one. The Tesla problematic because it is a car.
Yeah.
Yep.
Then it correctly.
So you can see we've got non-realistic written down there because some of these do look a bit like security.
Too Michael Bay-ish.
Accidents.
Security cam footage into the river is not really what.
When Ben said that, you're not wrong.
Because it's like we're trying to go with like the phone in the car kind of just like it's swallowing the car as like, yes, enter the whatever. And when if you zoom in on one of the ones with the X's where we're like,
yeah,
that's not what we're going for.
Yeah, these are a little bit like, oh, the car has crashed. And like, it's just not
the
vibe.
In there. But I mean, you know, you're in my design stuff and your design stuff it's different in, you know, what it actually is. Like, I'm not touching Blender and doing 3D, but the processes are, you know, like
very
you can see,
similar.
They're similar in that you have to nobody sits down and puts out like the first or second thing that comes to their mind. That's almost never the answer. and you have to do a bunch of crap and throw a bunch
Yeah.
of crap out, or a bunch of good stuff that just doesn't work. Like a bunch of the car that you have is not. It just the angle doesn't work. Like you can't put that out there, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah.
And I purposefully render tons of images that never get used because something might just look cool. So it's something that might not even have meant to have happened might look cool.
Aaron,
for
are
your
you
reference, I
noticing a
also found
trend?
this file.
Yeah, that's it. How big was that one you gave?
21,000, and then down here I've written smaller file. Let me know if still too large, and it's down there. And it's so small. Yeah.
Like, fine, I can export that at half size.
New.
That'll be fine.
Oh, here's Ben. This is Ben's quote of the year. Short for Goosef. I don't know what he meant by that.
I don't have to.
This shows no professionalism.
I don't have to let you.
This is a true inside the studio kind of interview.
What is go to the other file.
Closed doors.
Which one?
Show him your.
This
Zen...
one?
No. Show him
My
your
Zen garden. Oh, fantastic. Okay, so when Ben was trying to make me like Figma, which by the way, this looks like kind of like Ben could have done it, like a bit neater than my previous attempts at Figma. But I made myself a Zen garden for when I get stressed about a certain Schmadobe product that we used to use. It's not obvious or anything, so yeah.
No, not at all. I don't know who you're talking about.
No, me neither. Probably a good example of Ben forcing me to work. Him. No, it does work.
Okay.
Sketch,
Yep.
and then we both worked on this one where it went from what I would call very ugly to okay, it starts to look a bit okay, and then because I labeled this as time, so kind of ruined your vibe there. But yeah, this was literally just
Put a little British spin on it. I get it.
Yeah, you gotta bring that.
You know what we should honestly do if we're really doing the British spin on things?
Uh-oh.
You should take the.
Careful.
I have that bar on the
Do it in
left
metric.
side. No, you should put the bar on the right side. Just like on the other side.
Yeah! Oh, you're so correct.
Oh, dude.
Drive on the wrong side of the road. It's lethal, but they don't know how you.
Yeah,
Have you seen people try and traverse a roundabout in your country? It's terrible.
Actually, we drive on the right side of the road over here. I don't know
people
what
are
you're
going the
saying.
wrong way round. Oh, Shaolin's back. I've summoned Shaolin for a moment there.
Yeah.
I got a bit scared.
The narrator. He will pop in if he feels to do so.
Yes, and we've landed here. So I have been using your techniques, and I have got better than the mess that is this document, where everything is just thrown on the screen.
So the thing, I mean, part of that is organization and but part of it is also I was showing on my stuff where it's you start somewhere and you can, in a somewhat, mine does get a little messy too, but you can in a somewhat linear way go from where did I start to what I'm actually going to put out. And it's also helpful to be if you go down a rabbit hole too much, you can be let's say you're at version 4 and you've got 2 different options, right? And you go way too far down one and you start to branch off. It's easy to say, you know what, this isn't going to work. I know where I'm going to go back to, and now I can actually I'm going back to the point that I made a certain decision at, and I can go and take a different path there. So I don't know.
No, I mean Figma has been great for me as a 3D designer too, because usually with 3D, you do something and you either render it or you delete it. That's changed.
You've been sketching too, though, outside.
Oh yeah, I love a sketch.
See, because that's I feel probably a more comfortable tool for you. Versus Figma.
That's where I started off with DIMO. That's how Andy discovered me on Reddit, which is a fun story for another day. But yeah, that's where I started. He was like, "Oh, you can draw cars." I was like, "Yeah," and he was like, "Okay, cool, come work for us." I was like, "Fair enough." Fun fact: I thought he was a scammer at first. I thought me out of my bank information, but no, it was just Andy being Andy. Yep. So I have come a long way with. Let it. I was like, I don't know why I didn't say I could do 3D, and I was like, oh yeah, I could do this in 3D, and they're like, wait, what? I was like, oh yeah, yeah, I do that too.
How long have you been doing Blender for? How long have you been a 3D?
3D wise, it would have been 2018, so 4 years.
Okay.
I started in to not a company, Schmortodesk Schmeier, but I don't use it anymore because Blender is the better version. They're very similar, and I basically started out doing cuboid thing. Like, if anyone knows BMO from Adventure Time, he is just a cube on legs. Great starting point for anyone who wants to learn Blender. Anything that's a cube, or a sphere, just something that you don't have to change. But yeah, it's a bit fun to learn back to Blender. Oh, hello. Too many screens available.
Is the goo stuff your favorite stuff that you've been working on while you're here, or is that?
Yes, I think so.
Give us a highlight here. Yeah.
Highlight was the goo, because the goo was never going to be what the goo is now. It's just become an unexpected entity of its own. I love doing goo now. Oh, it's bigger than I ever will be. But I started out, as I said, drawing. I drew like Andy's card just to be like, this is my art style. And like, I can't imagine that was in December. So like, I've come from drawing Andy's car to goo. It's like a bit, I don't know how I did that, but yeah. So goo's highlight. Goo's the one thing I felt very. But then I look back at the original ocean creature that I uploaded, and I was like, well, to be fair, it's improved. Your splooshy autopie here, and it's taken a lot of try.
Is that another hidden ball to get like the?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's someone with. Oh,
so
there you go.
How
you can't
big
even
is
see it.
The sphere compared to like the autopie?
I've kind of a little bit smaller because made a bit of an explosive splash.
Okay.
You can see it moves a little bit ahead of the autopie because I let the autopie just into the goo to make it look like. But yeah, the sphere is just splashing there and sits there because I was finding that the goo came back autopie, which was not intended.
I kind of want that though.
You want that? Well, we can do that.
Yeah. Can we do that? Well, you have other stuff to do. You have other higher priority stuff to do.
No, but it's not just to drive. What can we drop in the goo?
I know.
So,
well, because one of the things you did is you set up the file that we that we did this banner for.
Yes.
For this event, and like that file to be able, you're just like, I can drop whatever you want in this, and so I'm like, cool. Yeah.
This is the banner. Well, technically the banner for what we are on now, the DIMO pie in it instead of a computer. You could put a car in there, a toasty.
You can drop anything in goo.
Yeah, literally anything. The goo will still be there regardless of the autopie, which was fun.
For the computer, did you build that from scratch, or how did you get that asset?
The autopie. Actually, I couldn't find one of those online, so I had to hand model that.
Yep.
Using the autopie website as like reference. They probably have one, but I don't think it. So I copied it.
Take it. This is mine now.
Well, yeah.
It's fine. You'd be like, no, I'm not gonna give you mine. They probably want yours now.
I wonder if I can find where I started, because the first ones, as it always is with Blender and most design, was really ugly. Obviously that looks like an autopie. Yeah, it was
first one.
Really awful. You should have seen the time Daniel tried to get me to model a car from scratch. For anyone not familiar with Blender, the more curvy a surface, the harder it is to model. And he's like, "Oh, can you just whip up a car?" And I was like, "Okay."
Hey, wait. In the spirit of stating the obvious as I did when I was showing you my screens, and I'm like, this is just stuff. Please don't drop your AutoPie in water or goo
No.
or anything that resembles something wet, please.
Don't.
This is some
Even
CYA.
in a dry place.
This is some CYA stuff. Yeah, please don't drop it anywhere. Please keep it in a cool, dry place.
In your
Please don't
car
throw-
and-
yeah,
yeah.
in your
Yeah.
car. Please don't put your car in like a river or anything. Yeah, don't drive into the
No.
ocean, says MC Ride, our boy, aka Dylan. Yeah.
You don't want to have your windows rolled down, getting your car wash done, having it seep in there, and then you get a nice clean auto
No.
pie as well as a nice
See,
car.
this stupid thing, the thing about America is that we're litigious enough where I feel like we should put like
Warnings.
yeah, no, like we should put some warning of just don't do this. Like, don't try this at home. Please don't do this.
I've found very old autopies, however, they really leave a lot to the imagination. 1 minute. I'm
No,
sorry, I
give
keep
it to us.
unsharing and sharing. So many files open. Is down here. This is what really beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Oh, hello. Sorry, that's the rendered version. Wireframe, solid. There you go. Yes, ugly. Well, everything in this file is ugly, actually. Apart from the final autopie over there. But yeah, this was the
I feel
first
like the
autopie.
first one is just like a square rectangle with a little bit of
Yep.
yeah. I don't know a lot
It
about
is.
Blender, but I think I can do that one too, Abby. That one
But you know what? That's where I gave up with that one. I was like, right,
yeah.
no. This was
You're like,
something
oof.
bad happened. For those
I would have
who
loved it if
aren't
you would have turned
Blender,
that in though.
That is bad. Yeah, here you go,
Something
guys.
with this
His-
take.
The autopie was oddly annoying, considered it's a cube with more sides. But this one took a good week of just making shapes that looked vaguely like this. The shape
Yep.
breaks. I mean, general rundown on Blender, you don't want geometry that looks like this, where it looks bent. Everything should look like it could be real. And this is bad. This is bad me.
Yep.
So you don't want to use that model. You can see weird shadows get cast like there and there.
So in
It
the
would
spirit
render
of
out
like
gross.
talking about process, at what point do you ditch a model and say it's time to start over? Like what
Usually
makes a
when I
model
break
to
the
point where you
geometry.
wanna- Say
So
what?
broken geometry is where you say I move and I put sort of this line here as part of a curve and I put it behind the other one. Suddenly the world bends and you get inside out shapes which couldn't physically happen in real life. That's called broken geometry. It makes the lighting on your file very ugly. It'll look all bent and disgusting. And once you've done file, that's it. It's broken.
Yeah, it's like you gotta. Okay, so Blender basically makes a decision for you. You like screw up once,
it's
you're done.
harsh. Yeah, it's
Oh.
very mean. And
Okay.
you can do another break geometry. It's good fun learning Blender. Your computer will crash a lot because, you can button over here. You can add a modifier and divide this a million times, and your computer will just turn off. It doesn't want to know.
No, it's
So,
like some
yeah.
mysteries are best unknown. Okay.
No. So this over here was the final one. I lost some along the way in pure rage. But yes, this has got all the little ports, all the little knickknacks that autopies can. But the thing with Blender in most modeling is you don't want to have loads of vertices. You can see in here it's kind of I guess you'd use the word jaggedy because you never see in there, and wasting like I guess the power of your computer to render things you don't even see is you want to render quickly, which when you're employed
makes
to do
sense.
so is you don't want to render things that are pointless to render. So yeah, you try and keep surfaces as simple as possible, and not. If this had a million, these dots are all vertices. They're all. If this whole thing along it would basically mean that I had unnecessarily added. It doesn't add much. So yeah, I've done a lot of learning about streamline. rendering, because when you have a shot like that and you need to render it, there's a difference between like a minute and an hour. So yeah.
Well,
No, this is awesome.
The last thing I think I would, if you want to pull it up, is the little video that we did of this with the light. You know what I'm talking about? The blue light.
Do.
So
Well,
all of the AutoPie DIMO miner people, we're gonna roll out a new pairing process soon-ishly. And some of these renders are gonna live inside of that. Some of these will be, no pressure, Abby, just get it going. So some of these renders are gonna live inside that pairing process as we try to make things easier and more clear for people. We heard some feedback on the initial process, you know, what people have been using. And as we're beginning to ramp up the amount that we're shipping out and the amount that we're, you know, sort of the amount of AutoPie users that are, you know, out there in the wild, we took another look through our pairing process and did a little worked with Abby to get some cool renders, and now we've got some cool stuff in the works. So
Yes,
now
I'm trying
take
to
it
find
away.
the animation in our chat because I can't find
Lost
it. This is
Did
this
you
is terribly
Did you chat
I'm pretty
it to
sure
me,
I
or did you?
point, but we
I
do
don't
talk
think
a lot,
you-
Ben.
I don't think you transferred it.
No,
Maybe do. It's almost like we work together.
Stunning! I've found it. This is great. Yeah, me downloading my own animation, really showing myself up here.
Well,
Here
you
I
sent
go.
me a video of it.
I did, but I have got the final file. Lucky me.
Okay, good.
Here I
This
go. I
one's-
will share the correct screen. Where has it gone? Video G-Port. Oh, I have so many things open I don't know about. Right, let's just share my screen. Screw it. Right, this is an animation I did for Ben. I hope my wife. But it's a pairing animation. I will
ruined
put
it,
it on
but-
repeat. Yeah, I think my Wi-Fi did. To be fair, you get the
Yeah, the
picture. We spin
yeah.
around the AutoPie, and we focus on the pairing blue and glowy. I had it, you know, do a little flicker there, make it. But yeah, this is one of the few animations that have actually made it out of Blender, because a lot of the time I think it's
A lot of time you're doing stills, right? You're
Yeah, a
doing
lot of the time
animation
it's-
yeah.
Well, stills are quite quickly. I mean, you get a result, you get it in a minute. I mean, this animation 3 seconds long, and it took about an hour and a half to do, like render. So
Yeah.
that's a time I can't spend at my computer doing things. When you're rendering, you don't really want to be doing other stuff. It's just
Go walk the dog.
it already gets hot in this room, but if you really want my PC to become a heat source, then that's the way to do it.
What you do.
So yeah.
I have a technical question. Like when you do the animation, we have the spinning effect, and then we zoom in. Is that you moving the model, or is that you moving the camera?
I did try both in this instance, but this was the
okay.
camera. So good.
This was the
good question.
camera. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it becomes a lot more static, but I did want it to stay on a point because obviously it's going in an app. You need it to stay central. I actually found a way of pairing the camera to an object that you can't see, but it's perfectly in the center of the AutoPie. So the camera knows to orbit around that central point, and then it's all just about zooming, because it's quite easy from here to here. I'm just saying camera go there, and it works out the middle point, which is the Earth,
That's
I guess.
awesome.
And then yeah, camera zoom, finished.
That's awesome.
In
No,
the
this
early
is
days,
great.
me and Daniel did a lot of animation experiment. We did things floating and wibbling and ribbons and stuff that probably will never. But yeah, lots of animation happens. It just.
I got lots more for you in the next
Oh,
couple
goody.
weeks, don't worry. Yes, don't worry. As soon as we're done with our latest round of stuff, I got plenty more for you.
Well, I'm looking forward
Awesome.
to it. I very
Alright.
much enjoy Blender.
All right. Aaron, we got to wrap up, I believe, because
Let's wrap it up.
I have a 4:00 meeting that I need to prep for also.
Yep.
Because
Okay.
We are
Fair
on
enough.
the clock here. So do
Yeah.
your sign off. I know you got a thing.
You know I've been itching for
Do
it.
your
I'm
thing.
gonna get
Yeah. Do
the
your
sign off out there. Well, guys, as I mentioned before, I'm going to be out for the next, not 1 week, but 2 weeks. Abby, I think you're already booked for next week's show. You better come with your A game. I know that everybody
I've got
is
big shoes
expecting.
to
There's a
fill.
lot of pressure. I don't want to lie to you. There is a immense amount of pressure. So yeah, do your meditation beforehand. Maybe some yoga. Get your head in the game. No, guys, for you guys who are checking us out, this is another episode. We made it successfully. No blow ups. Ben had a mic issue, but we made it.
We made it.
Yeah, if you made it this far in the video and for some reason you don't know what Demo is, like get your head in the game. We have a new website that's out, demo.zone. Really cool stuff. Definitely the coolest website we've ever had. So check that out. If you're not on our Discord, get on there. You can yell at myself. You can yell at Ben. You can even yell at Abby. We don't mind. Really, go for it. Give us some love. Give us some feedback. And most importantly, get on the app. If you're not there already, get signed up, get onboarded, get your vehicles on there. If you've got a Tesla, it's super easy. Otherwise, it's still easy. Go ahead and make sure you've got a software subscription for your vehicle. Otherwise, we've got AutoPies, which Abby just showed off. Right now, the store is sold out, but one day it won't be that way. So get your A game ready. And yeah, I think that's it, fellas. Anything else to add?
I'm all set.
We're all good.
Happy
All right,
for
everyone.
people.
Happy
Have a
Friday.
good weekend.